Okay, hello everyone. I will be discussing to you a short lecture video on designing effective communications under Module 10, which tackles three types of business communication, such as the letters, memos, and emails. Now, writing correspondence is an essential activity of any business. Either it can be academic or industrial organization, but generally speaking, correspondence or technical reports aim to inform and persuade their intended readers. They also have certain advantages over the spoken mode. What are these? These are listed as follows. Number one, they allow the writer to have time to think about the message that he or she wants to convey thoroughly. The second, they are more accessible and can be retrieved by the reader at any time convenient to him or her. And the third, they present the message in details. And the last one, they can be documented and filed. So let's try to explore what are those rudiments of these three types of essential business writing forms. I will be presenting to you under professional presentation. We have number one is an effective business letter. How do you define or how do you describe whether a business letter is effective? An effective business letter elicits the expected response from the reader. This can be achieved through concise, tactful, and accurate writing style. A business letter also serves several purposes. This can be for sales efforts, for complaints, for information dissemination, for relationship building, and for problem solving. Now, what are the essential parts of a business letter? So, let's try to explore them. When you use appropriate level of formality, people would sometimes be tempted to use informal writing because in such a way in using digital platforms, all digital applications such as email and microblogs can be used moderately with formal tone to avoid potential embarrassment. This is very true to people who are less formal in their expression. Also, you have to communicate correctly. Correct writing is free of any grammatical flaws, punctuation marks, styles, usage, and spelling errors. The correctness and problems would occur most often in email and microblogs. When you send correspondence that contains language errors, it is really an unprofessional way to express yourself, to be in the business world, because it suggests a lack of respect for your reader and for your own self as well. You also have to project the you attitude. When you speak of correspondence, it should convey a courteous, positive tone. Because the key to accomplishing this task is using the you attitude. Look, which means you look at the situation from the reader's point of view or perspective, and then you adjust the content, the structure, the tone to meet the demands and needs of the reader. Also, avoid correspondence cliches. Over the centuries, there are a group of words and phrases that may come out to be associated with business correspondence. But one common example is as per your request. This is a most highly needed and commonly used expression because these phrases would sound sincere, insincere rather, to your readers. Then communicate honestly. You should communicate honestly when you write any kind of document and business correspondence, that is, with no exemption. Communicating honestly shows respect for your reader and for yourself. So let's start with letters. It should be followed with memos, and then the last one we have emails. So what about letters? what are the different types of or parts of the business letter rather. So let's uh, try to explore them one by one. The first one is the letterhead. When we speak of the letterhead, this this part of the letter identifies the writer, his or her address, and then the contact numbers. So you can see it right here. And then after the letterhead, we have the date. It is placed between the letterhead and the inside address. It should never use plain numerals for dates as it may cause confusion. Instead of using, for instance, the date is here, instead of using 05/11/19, you may just say May 11, 2019. Or start first with the date, 11, followed by the month, May, and then last is year. And then after the date, we have the inside address. The inside address identifies the reader's name, the position, and then the company and its address. And it should be placed immediately below the date. Okay? After that is the attention line. The attention line, it is used when the writer wishes to address the whole company but wants to bring it to the attention of a particular person in the company. Well, it can be written in two formats. One, you can write it this way: attention, colon, the name of the addressee, or attention and then the name itself without the colon. After that is the subject. If there is a particular subject that you would like to discuss with the person, you may reflect it there. After that is the salutation. So the salutation refers to who the writer is greeting, or the one that the writer is addressing to. So it can appear in different formats. You may say dear, for this particular letter, director of maintenance, because you're referring to the director of the maintenance itself. Or sir, colon, or dear Mr., if you know the first name. And then the body. The body contains the message of the letter. The paragraphs are single spaced internally, but double spaced to separate paragraphs. If the letter is too short, the body can be double spaced or triple spaced to separate the paragraphs. The last one is the complementary clause. What is this complementary clause? The complementary clause is actually the conventional phrases. It is an expression to end the letter. Okay, so there are four degrees of formality, so to speak, with regards to the complementary clause. One degree is the highly formal part. You may use respectfully yours, respectfully, or very respectfully. If it is polite and formal, you may just say very truly yours, yours very truly, or yours truly. If it is less formal, you may say sincerely yours, yours, or cordially yours. But if it is an informal letter addressed to a friend, you may just say as ever, best regards, kindest regards, or regards. But if you are talking to a VIP, an executive, a church official, you should always use respectfully yours, or very respectfully yours, or respectfully. After that is the signature block. The signature block actually is your signature itself. Type your full name on the fourth line below the complementary clause. Sign the letter using your penmanship. And then after that is the identification initials. It indicates the typist's initials if the sender is not the one who personally typed the document. If you are not the one who typed the document. But if you are the one who typed the document, then it's just fine. Then the enclosure notation, it indicates the attachments to the letter. It can be written in the following formats. So enclosure colon, what is the document that you have attached in the letter? And then you may just say enclosure or ENC period or ENCL period. And then the copy notation, it indicates the name of the secondary recipients of the letter. It is indicated by the abbreviation CC colon, which means carbon copy or courtesy copies. Okay? We also call that as copy line. Okay? For the enclosure, we call also that as enclosure line. These are two other ways to express your memos. I mean your the different parts of the letter. So that's the common types. I mean the common parts. But what about the types of the business letters? First type here is the inquiry letter, which allows us to write in order to acquire information. You're also asked to explain who you are and why you're writing. You may ask questions, precise, clear, and easy to answer. The next type of letter is the inquiry response letter. Answer the questions if you can. If you can't, explain the reasons why and offer to assist with other requests. The next one is the claim letter. This is a type of letter which uses polite and reasonable complaint. It used to address defective products or inadequate services. They can also help companies identify weaknesses in the products and services. And then we have the adjustment letter. This is a response to a claim letter which tells the customer how to plan to handle the situation. You show your organization is a fair and reasonable institution. Well, this is typically framed as either good news or bad news, depending on how the customer reacted. Okay, so please go over the parts of the letter. We have the heading, or we also call that as the letterhead, followed by the date, inside address, attention line, if there is, salutation, body, complementary close. After to end the letter, then we have the signature block. We also have the identification initials if you are not the one who wrote it or who typed it, followed by the enclosure notation or the enclosure line, and then the copy line. There are also other types of format of the letter. We have also the modified block, wherein the modified block has the date on the right side. It is not indented, but the complementary clause, the signature block, the name of the writer or the author of the letter, and then the designation can be written in the right hand side of the paper, lower right hand side of the paper. We also have the semi block, wherein the body of the letter is indented, the date is on the upper right hand side of the paper, as well as the complementary clause, the signature block, and then the designation. If it is full block style, everything is situated on the left, no indentation. Okay? So, next is memo. Memorandum actually is a business correspondence which wishes to inform and persuade target audience. These audience are within the organization only. Well, similar to news and other pertinent journalistic documents, it follows the inverted pyramid structure of information organization, which means the most important information should come first, and then the least one should be reflected. What are the different types of memo? We have the instruction memo, which provides information to the readers of the needed information to perform accurately, such as follow up, check up. And then second one is the request memo, which asks the readers to provide certain information or take certain actions. An example of this is when you request for a fund of a seminar. Then the third one is the announcement memo, which provides information about an event. It can be a person or a thing. An example of this is when you announce a meeting, whether it is planned or emergency. The fourth is the transmittal memo, which serves as a cover note for more formal or lengthy document. An example of this is when you transmit annual reports, budgets to the board of directors or board of trustees. And then the fifth one is the authorization memo, which gives information. Gives permission rather. An example of this is when you allow employees to study abroad or to study on a Saturdays to take leave, things of that sort. Now, what are the advantages of a memo? Well, it reaches a large number of readers at the same time because it's just one document. The second one, it provides a written record that can be accessed anytime because it's just posted. And then the third one, it allows a detailed and accurate delivery of message because the words are simple. It's direct to the point. But memos have also its own disadvantages. What are these? The first one is it is not ideal to convey complex topics when you write memos, since generally this is intended only for short messages, short texts. When you want to convey lengthy and very detailed information, do not write a memo, or you write a letter. The second one, it takes time to reach distant branches and offices. Good enough, we have technology, you can just post it or send it via email. Then the third one, it is more expensive than email because you will be using printed materials. Okay? So how do you organize a memo? Well, one, be specific with a subject line. You have to come up with a clear statement of purpose. The statement should be built around a verb that clearly states what you want the readers to know, to believe, or to do. Then it should be a brief summary. Consider including an outline before you write it, so that your readers who want to read the whole memo, the summary is an advanced organizer. Because not all people have that audacity, have that patience to read lengthy texts, because there are readers who are in a hurry. Reading the summary may also substitute for reading the whole memo. Then informative headings. The headings make the memo easier to read by enabling readers to skip sections they don't need and by helping them understand what each section is about. And then prominent recommendation. Many memos end with one or more recommendations. Sometimes these recommendations take form of action steps. It can be bulleted or number lists of matters at hand that needed to be performed, or the writer what the writer will do or what the writer would like others to do. These are sets of instructions. So what are the parts of a memo? Let's go over it. The first part is the letterhead, which identifies the writer, his or her address, and contact number. But if you are just in that organization, you may just skip that part. Then the date, this is very important. The date, then the two line, to whom does it concern, from whom is it coming from. After that, your signature. So you affix your signature after your name, if for instance you're the one sending the memo. And then we have the body, which allows the reader to read the message of the memo. Okay. The same goes with the business letters with regards to the number of spaces. Then we have the identification initials if you are not the one who typed the memo, the enclosure notation, and then the copy notation. Okay. Well, most writers would put their initials or signature next to the type name. That is the usual way to show that they have reviewed the memo and accept the responsibility for it. Okay, so that's for memo. Next is netiquette basic. The basic for netiquette. Okay, what do you mean by netiquette? This is the ethics with regards to internet communication or digital communication. Number one, stick to business. Don't send jokes or non-business messages. Use the appropriate level of formality. You write correctly. Remember to revise, to edit, and proofread your emails before sending it. Don't flame. When you are angry, keep your hands away from the keyboard. That is very basic. Make your message easy to read. Use uppercase and lowercase letters and skip lines between paragraphs. You also use uppercase letters or boldface sparingly for emphasis. And then don't send a message unless you have something to say. If you can add something new, do so, but don't send a message. Just be part of the conversation. Okay? So these are the technical parts of the email. You use the from line. From whom is it from whom is it coming from? The to line, to whom is it addressed to whom are you sending it? Then the subject line, then we have the copy board or carbon copy notation. BC or BCC stands for blind copy, or if it is a blind courtesy copy, if you don't know who you're sending, the exact name of the person you're sending. And then the body, I mean the part wherein you are able to place the name of the recipients. Okay, the salutation, and then the body. After that, the complimentary close, your name or signature if there's an e-signature, and then your inside address. If you will notice, the inside address is reflected after the name, after the signature block. This is what we do because email is an electronic message. So we do not follow the printed message. Okay? So what are the some tips that we need to follow or to consider when writing an email? Well, one advantage of this is that it reaches the target reader faster. Second, it confirms an acceptance or rejections easily. And the third one, it is less costly than letters and memos because it is electronically written and sent. It can easily reach also the farthest parts of the globe because of the global use of the internet. It is environment friendly because you will not be using papers, and it is easier to document. But there are three major disadvantages of email. One, it is prone to hacking and technical glitches, especially for those who are into cybercrime. Second, it can cause information overload. And then the third one, it can also be used to transmit computer virus. If you are not careful, if you are not aware of the file types for computer viruses. Now, what are the significant tips that we can use or we can consider? One, make the subject line informative or descriptive so that the content of the memo can be avoided with so much vague using the lines of follow up, additional information, and request. The second one, you keep the subject line simple and short. Do not also change the subject line when you are replying to an email. Do not do that. And then the two line should contain the names of the primary readers. The secondary readers must be placed in the CC line only because the primary readers are those who are directly involved in the message of the email. And then you ensure the correctness of the email address of the recipient so that it can be received. Make the file name of the attached document also meaningful. Instead of using letter 1, if you have multiple letters, you may just say request underscore letter and then your name. Next, never use all caps in the main text. This is unacceptable. Do not use that. State your purpose in the first sentence of the memo, direct to the point. The shorter, the better. Then, if the message is sensitive, compose it first using the word processor. And then 10, avoid emoticons in informal jargons like LOL and BRB or be right back in formal conversations. So that's all for the lecture video on designing business communication using letters, memos, and emails. For your guided practice and assignment, just kindly accomplish the table and then just submit it via Edmodo. Or if you cannot submit it via Edmodo, you may just send it via private message in my messenger account. So thank you very much, guys. I hope you this lecture video somewhat gave you some clarifications and an in-depth knowledge of effective business communications as part of your journey as future professionals. So thank you very much and have a good day.